You know, it's funny that, well, I mean, I guess no one else argued against it. You know, everyone else was just like, okay, fine. Saki wants to go, I guess we'll just let her. There was no, like, argument there. Anyway. He was sitting in the throne at the end of the hall, just like he had been on the first day. At the foot of the stairs was a huge cage covered with a large blue sheet of cloth. My uncle's in there. Is he congratulating us? We made our way carefully down the hall toward the stairs. He leaned close to whisper in my ear. Okay, that's your plan? That's the plan. What? You mean just like that? I felt Ryuji press something against my back. I reached a hand around to feel it, and I realized it was a gun. Yeah, it was probably given by Shido. Is this real? It felt heavy. I can use this to rescue the hostages. I nodded. How about we just shoot Hogstein? You know, instead of punching him, we should just shoot him right now. The quickest draw in the West. Pew! He gave me one last reassuring tap on the shoulder and stepped forward. As he talked, he moved up the stairs. Hogstein watched him, clearly curious. Before long, Ryuji had reached the top of the stairs. His fist slammed into Hogstein's face. What punch? Am I gonna CG for that? That'd be pretty funny to look at. It's like his face just squished under his fist. But now's my chance. The moment Ryuji struck, I ran toward the cage. I pulled aside a cloth, and inside were all my uncle and the rest of the hostages.
Saki,
Yep, and I have you out of here in a jiffy.
But
not in the Giffy. You know? Not a jiffy. No, it's a jiffy, not a Giffy. Because a GIF is an animated image, and a GIF is peanut butter, right? No, anyway. That was the first time I heard my uncle's voice in a long time. I wanted to tell him everything, but there wasn't time. I looked for the lock. There it is. Everybody, stand back! My hand shook a little as I raised the gun, but I took a deep breath and steadied them. Phew, it's that easy, every time. The clap of the gunfire filled the hall, and the shattered lock fell to the ground. The door creaked open. His voice echoed across the room. Ryuji? No, I need to get the hostages out first. Alright, everybody, get out, run! You too, Uncle Keiji. Thanks, but I'll be fine. I've got Ryuji with me.
Ryuji?
Yeah, he's well, I know I can trust him. Okay, stop. You can have this conversation later, just go. He smiled warmly. I guess that's true. Because he is the creator of this park. You would think he'd be more helpful though, you know? Like giving us special instructions to find like secret entrances or stuff like that. Not really, he always just gives you motivating messages, you know, through the phone. That's it. Well, thanks. I waved goodbye to my uncle and then ran off toward Ryuji. What's going on with him? Huh? On the floor next to Ryuji was Hogstein's head, and inside of the Hogstein costume was a piglet. Okay, it was a decoy. Again. What the heck?
ワールドブーなんてやつは最初からいなかったってことか。いや、まさか。おい、大丈夫か？
Uncle Keiji? I turned and saw my uncle standing in the middle of the stairs leading out, with the hostages around him. But he was pounding on what appeared to be thin air. What was that?
くそ、すべてお見通しってわけか。どこに隠れてやがる、ワールドブー。
But if he knew what we were going to do, why did he let us free the hostages?
どういうことだ。お答えしましょう。なぜ人質を逃がすのか。それは。
Oh man, I've got a bad feeling about this.
あなたが人質が手に入るからです。
Of course. Ah! A cage shot down from the ceiling, slamming into the floor around us. We were trapped.
畜生。ムカつ。
So you expecting anything less? Ah, I feel sleepy. Wah. Click. Ah, where am I?
お、起きたか。どうやら俺たちはガスかなんかを嗅がされちまったみてえだな。
We were still in a cage, but we apparently been moved to a warehouse. Our hands and legs have been tied up tight. I could barely move.
くそ、しくじっちまった。
He frowned.
すまねえ。お前を守るって誓ったのによ。
But don't blame yourself. I'm just glad we were able to free the hostages. With my uncle to guide them, I was sure they'd get out of the park safely. Okay. I thought for some reason I thought the uncle somehow was blocked by glass or something, but I guess they did get out. I don't know. I don't know why they were pounding glass. Or maybe the glass came in between them. Maybe that's what happened.
そうだ
And
な。
then, you know,
まあ、
Saki and Ryuji got captured by the cage.
なんとかしてここから脱出してえが。
These ropes are really tight. I don't think we can get them off.
こんなもん。
I can break these cuffs. You can't break those cuffs. He strained against the ropes with all his strength, but they didn't break. If this was a movie, we'd have a hidden knife or a lighter or something, but
あいにくどっちも持ってねえな。ち、店のライターでも忍ばせておくべきだったぜ。
we tried everything we could think of to get through the ropes, but nothing worked.
仕方ね。とりあえず明日まで寝て体力を回復しようぜ。
Might as well sleep. You know, we're kidnapped hostages and everything. Gotta conserve our energy. Yeah, that's true. The next day would be the 7th and final day. If Hogstein had wanted us as hostages, I was sure he had some plan to use our predicament against the others. Just like the way he used Urubei as a shield for the aliens.
勝負は明日の朝だ。
Yeah, we have to find a way out of here before the game starts.
そういうことだ。あいつの思惑通りに人質になる必要なんざねえからな。
I nodded.
よし、そうと決まりゃさっさと寝ようぜ。おやすみ、サキ。
It was only a small thing, but I felt my heart jump happily when he said goodnight. And all the day's events finally caught up to me, and I felt exhausted. I snuggled up close to Ryuji and let my eyes slide closed. Alright, now we just skip this part once again, and we're basically at the last part of Ryuji's route, I assume. Stage 7. Once again.
おい、起きろ。
I felt someone shaking me and I opened my eyes to see Ryuji's face above me. Hmm? Ryuji? Wait, you were tied up. How's he?
大丈夫か。
As he spoke, he said about taking off my ropes. Oh. Yeah, I'm fine, but weren't you tied up too? He grinned and pointed at the floor behind me. I turned to see a piglet unconscious, sprawled across it.
人質だってワールド部にとっちゃ参加者を脅すための大事なネタだろ。
Oh, so you tricked them again?
なあ、一昨日船から降りたのと同じ手を使ったのさ。
That's a little rude. We got the attention of the piglet watching the warehouse and pretended his injury had gotten worse and he was about to die. Oh, it's the ketchup on the floor again. Once we convinced the piglet to loosen his ropes, it was all over. Not again.
どうよ。なかなかの起点だろ。
Yeah, I'm just surprised I didn't wake up. I actually felt a little embarrassed that I'd been off in dreamland while he was fighting a piglet.
疲れてたみたいだから仕方ねえよ。それになかなか可愛い寝顔だったぜ。
You were watching?
いいじゃねえか。やるもんじゃねえし。時間がありゃずっと寝顔を見てたかったぐらいだぜ。
Oh geez. I don't care if he likes it, that's really embarrassing.
さあ、
Alright.
そろそろ行こうぜ。
I mean, he's only fair, I guess. Saki was the one, creepily watching him sleep too. Whimper? Okay, why whimpering?
んだよ。まだ恥ずかしがってんのか。ほら、行くぞ。
He frowned and started to pull me along. Oh man, maybe he's right. Why am I so worked up over this? I need to pull it together. We're not done with this game yet. Ryuji.
なんだ。まだ何かあるのか。
Promise me we'll get out of here alive.
何を今さら。
He squeezed my hand.
俺もお前も。もちろんスバルや他の仲間も。誰一人欠けることなく。な。
Right. We nodded to one another and strolled out of the warehouse. Okay. Now what? How's this gonna work out? Are we allowed to just go into the final game, or do we go to Hogstein's castle again and punch him in the face? The warehouse was surrounded by a thick green forest, but above it we could see the back of Castle Hogstein.
中にいるときは全然気づかなかったけどよ。初日の夜に来た倉庫だったのか。
Judging by the sun, it was almost noon, and we didn't have long before Hogstein figured out that we'd escaped. You think we'd hook up with everyone else before the game starts?
ワールド部に見つからずに合流か。一筋縄じゃいかなそうだな。
We were still mulling it over when my phone rang. It's Shido.
よっしゃ、どうすりゃいいか相談しようぜ。
I nodded and flipped the phone open. Ah, okay. Ooh-hee-hee-hee. Nani? It wasn't Shido's voice at all, but I definitely recognized it. Hogstein?
おい、どうなってんだ。なんでワールドブーがスバルの携帯を。
どうして私がこの携帯を持っているのか気になるでしょう。それはですね。
Well?
おとといの夜、あなたたちの連絡を引き継いでいる代わりに携帯を没収してからです。
Yes, very exciting story. Just took the phone. That's... Of course, that must have been the deal Shido was talking about. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
仲間に購入なんかさせませんよ。逃げた人質にはお仕を迫っているのです。
Then he was gone.
おい、どうしてあいつがスバルの携帯を持ってやがったんだ。
It sounds like handing over his phone was the condition for being allowed to call us the other night.
なるほどな。くそ。いずれにしろ、俺たちが逃げたことはあいつにバレてるってことか。
Things were looking bad. Hogstein almost certainly already had people out looking for us. Maybe we should leave the woods and head for the plaza?
そうだな。倉庫からはなるべく離れた方がいい。
We hid in the shadow of the trees just in case and made our way carefully toward the plaza.
おい、ちょっといいか。
I stopped and Ryuji looked around cautiously for a moment before continuing.
ふと思ったんだけどよ。スバル以外の携帯は没収されてねえんじゃねえのか。
Oh, that's a good point.
試しにかけてみようや。向こうの状況が分かればこっちも動きやすくなる。
Who should I call? I decided Shirabe would be the best bet.
もしもし、調べだ。
Oh, thank goodness it's you. I looked over at Ryuji, nodded, and turned on the speaker.
ああ、ちょうどこちらも心配してたところだ。今、一体どうしてるんだ？
I told him everything, how Hogstein had captured us, and how we escaped and were making our way to the plaza.
俺たちももうじき広場に着く。だが、こっちに向かうのはよした方がいい。
あ？どうしてだよ。
船着き場から広場まで黒子が厳重に警備してる。おそらくお前さんたちを捕まえるためだろう。
Oh no.
今後どうすべきかだが、ちょっと待ってくれ。
I could hear Shurubei discussing something in the background, and before long, Shido's voice came over the speaker.
指導だ。よく聞け。俺たちが最後のゲームをクリアすれば、7人全員が解放されるはずだ。それまでなんとか逃げろ。いいか、なんとしても生き延びるんだ。
Just run. And I ran so far away. And I ran. I got it. I snapped the phone shut.
ゲームが終わるまでワールドブーのやつと鬼ごっこだ。面白いじゃねえか。
Alright. Just gonna run around. Playing hide and seek. Playing tag.
くそ。やっぱダメか。
Or maybe not. We made it to the edge of the forest next to Alice's cart near the road that led back to the plaza. Just as Shirobei had said, there were piglets everywhere. Well, Hogstein did say we weren't gonna get to meet up with our friends. I guess he wasn't kidding.
これ以上広場に近づくのは無理だな。森の中に戻って様子を見ようぜ。
I nodded and we turned and moved off. I didn't even know Hogstein had that many piglets. We're gonna be careful. We're gonna have to be careful.
って言ってるそばから。
They're coming into the woods now? As soon as the piglet spotted us, it dropped into a fighting stance.
警備してるだけじゃなく、捜索隊も嫌がったのか。
He stepped forward and in between me and the piglet.
相手は一人。ここは俺が力ずくで道を切り開く。
Ryuji dropped into a fighting stance of his own. I backed off to give him space.
行くぜ。
Let's dance. And the battle began. Ryuji lashed out his right fist, clearly aiming for the piglet's face. The piglet threw up both arms to ward off the blow and hopped back a few steps. This is his chance, if he pushes his advantage. But Ryuji didn't push the attack, and instead kept his distance. What? Its balance recovered, the piglet leapt back and threw out a kick, which Ryuji smacked away with his right hand.
やるじゃねえか。
He's bluffing. It looked like he had the advantage, but something was wrong. As the fight dragged on, his movements started to get slower, and he didn't use his left hand at all. Oh, probably because they got hit by the rubber bullet, right, from the alien. The piglet stepped back and held up its arms to guard against Ryuji's strike of the chest.
喧嘩で俺に稼働なんざ。100円早えんだよ。
The punch had just been a feint to open up the piglet's head. Ryuji took his opening and delivered a brutal headbutt. The piglet wobbled for a minute, then collapsed to the ground. It didn't move.
どんな問題。
Ryuji? He dropped to his knees and pressed a hand against his side. As I ran up to him, I saw red seeping through his shirt. You're bleeding.
何？ちょいと傷口が開いちまっただけさ。
The one he got when the hospital blew up? Oh no. Sorry. I pulled his coat off. Just as I suspected, it wasn't just the one wound that had been opened up. They were all oozing blood. His left arm, that's got to be where the bullet hit him during the spaceship game.
たく、情けねえぜ。体が頑丈なのだけが取り柄だってのによ。
Ryuji was trying to act tough, but it was clear he was in bad shape, and he got that way by taking hits meant for me. I'm sorry, this is all my fault. I should have, I should have worked out some more, so you didn't have to take hits. This is why Saki again should probably start working out. I tried desperately to keep from crying.
このぐらいなんてことはねえよ。
Just a flesh wound.
唾でもつけたらや治るレベルだ。
But you say thank you, or you could say stop it. Diamero. You have to stop doing this. I felt tears start to trickle down my cheeks.
おい、サキ。
You need to tell me when you're hurt. I want to help you too. Even if I can't take bullets for you or whatever, at least I can be there for you to lean on. The tears are coming faster now. But he reached out and gently wiped them away.
我慢してりゃ心配かけねえと思ってたが、それは俺の見当違いだったな。考えてみれば、お前はただ守られるだけの女じゃなかった。
Ironic, because that's exactly what's been happening, you know? Ryuji.
見ての通り、俺はボロボロだ。それでも、最後まで逃げ切ろうぜ。俺とお前、二人で力を合わせてな。
Art. He stood up and shrugged his coat back onto his shoulders.
さて、これからどうするか。
How about we head for the restaurant?
レストラン？別に腹は減ってねえぜ。
Me either, but if Hogstein hasn't gone to the Biglets yet, then maybe we can patch you up.
なるほどな。とりあえず行ってみるか。
Patch you up with food, you know? Just make you eat more chicken? As soon as the Piglet at the restaurant noticed us, he ran over. Me? He handed us a towel and seemed to be indicating that he was worried about us. Good. This place is still safe.
黒子が全員俺たちを追ってるわけじゃねえってことか。せっかくだ。
Cheat. What? I keep accidentally skipping. Let me just hear that again.
黒子が全員俺たちを追ってるわけじゃねえってことか。せっかくだ。しっかり休んどこうぜ。
I nodded and asked the Piglet to bring us a first aid kit. He returned in no time with a first aid kit and some warm tea.
Thank you.
You know, this is why sometimes I actually prefer games that don't have voice acting. You know, it requires a little bit more work when I have to do all the voices, but at the same time, I can take it at my own pace, you know, so I don't accidentally skip some dialogue. Anyway. And me too, it's so relaxing. I finished my tea and I went to work on Ryuji. This is even worse than I thought. He shouldn't even be able to stand up, but he hasn't complained about it at all. Just give him a senzu bean, and then he'll be alright. Right, I think that about does it. Tell me if they're too tight.
ああ、大丈夫だ。ていうか、お前って案外器用なのな。
Really? We figured we were probably safe at the restaurant a little longer, so we decided to run over a situation. The last game has started, right?
だろうな。あいつらの無事を祈るしかねってのは悔しいけどよ。俺たちは俺たちでやれることをやろうぜ。
Yeah. We saved Utabe and released the hostages. There's only one thing for us to do. We've just got to hold on until they beat the game.
そういうことだ。本物のワルド部をぶん殴れねえのは残念だがな。
As we were talking, I saw a small group of piglets enter the restaurant. I gestured to Ryuji and we quickly hid. Are they looking for us?
見てだな。
They gestured to the piglet from the restaurant a bit, looked around and then left. They're gone. The restaurant piglet looked like he was thinking about something. What did they say to you? He pointed at himself, then mind moving a chess piece.
どういう意味だ？
Chess piece? Maybe he means that a bunch of the piglet security guys are gonna be here in a little bit. He nodded vigorously.
おお、すっげえ。よくあのジェスチャーでそんなことわかったな。
It's hard to explain. It's more like I kind of felt like that's what he was trying to say.
考えるな。感じろってやつか。
He seemed genuinely impressed. Oh come on, it's not that big of a deal. I can't exactly tell him I just took a wild guess. Anyway, if we stay here, they're gonna get us. We need to leave.
傷の手当てもしたし、十分に休んだ。あとは時間まで鬼ごっこと行くか。
Okay, we'll be leaving now, thanks. Great. The Biglet waved goodbye to us as we headed out through the restaurant's back door. Instead of going through the plaza, we snuck through an alley to the side. Oh, I didn't know about this one. We found ourselves in front of an attraction populated by statues of animals playing instruments. It looked like it was some kind of music game. If it wasn't for Hogstein, this place would have been so much fun.
まったくだぜ。このテーマパークに来て何度そう思ったか。
Shh, quiet. A piglet that had been standing in front of the attraction's entrance has started walking in our direction. We scrambled around behind a tree and we held our collective breath. Please, oh please don't catch us. The piglet looked around, puzzled, for a few seconds, then returned to its post, just like a typical security guard in a stealth game. That was close. We snuck past as quietly as we could. Once we were outside of the music attraction, my phone began to ring. It's Shido. No, wait, that means it's Hogstein.
とりあえず出てみてくれ。悪い知らせでも何も情報がないよりマシかもしれねえしな。
Yeah, good point. I opened my phone and turned on the speaker. What do you want? You know, I'm just suddenly reminded of like, you know how like he's just playing, like toying these people in like an amusement park in a psychotic manner? Or in a psychotic manner, rather? Like toying with their lives and everything. It just reminds me of like how I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, actually. In fact, as it turns out, maybe I was a little bit of like a Hogstein back in the day, you know? Because often what I would do in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, which was like a game on PC where you could like simulate an amusement park if you didn't know. I got a free CD from like a cereal box, and it's kind of exactly what I did. I kind of just tortured my park guests because it was just fun to do. Anyway, Hogstein. Look, it was like, you know, it was just a virtual game. It wasn't real. So therefore, I'm not clinically a psychopath, is all I'm saying. Not like Hogstein. Especially, I don't wear pig suits. Then he hung up.
言いたいことだけ言って切っちまいやがった。
Something he just said seemed off. I just can't put my finger on it.
ゲームのルールだから出られないだ。言われなくったって分かってんだよ。そんなことは。
Because those are the rules. Wait, what was the penalty for breaking the rules? Well, he would kill the hostages, but there's no hostages, so we can just leave. Wait, that means... Oh, I gotta get like, insight already? Yeah, we could just walk off. Like, all the hostages are safe, so... Well, okay, let's go over what's happened so far. Yesterday, we rescued the hostages, but got captured at their place. There's nobody in the cage in Castle Hogstein now. I should have seen that coming. I should probably put that in first. We managed to escape, but Hogstein caught us on Shido's phone. Taking Shido's phone was such a mean thing to do. Probably expensive. He called to remind us that his rules prevent us from escaping from the park, right? Those 7 rules have been a real pain in the butt. I don't even remember what those rules are. It's a shame Hogstein took it over. This place is really pretty cool. Those rules are pretty clear. To leave the park is forbidden, and if we try, the hostages die. That rhymes. If we could just leave, this would be so much easier. Well, you can't. That's why we haven't been able to break the rules during any of these stupid games. What can we do? People could die if we break them. This is the last day. After this, it's over. But I know I'm missing something. I can feel it. Well, there is no hostages. So, I mean... let's just go home. That's it! We already saved the hostages, so there's nobody for him to kill. We couldn't just try and leave the park before, because if we did, Hogstein would kill the hostages, remember? But now that we rescued them, the only hostages he had were us, and if we ran away... You see, the problem is that he'll probably just blow up the attraction involving the other players, you know? So technically he does have hostages. I don't know if they're gonna touch upon that. Right. Before I realized what was happening, he wrapped his arms around me in a bear hug, and then he suplexed me. But then I reversed his suplex into a double reversal suplex. Hey, Ryuji. Ryuji. He doesn't mess around, does he? I guess that's kind of what makes him him, though. Yeah, now we just need to figure out how to get out of the entrance. Hands held tight, we headed off toward freedom. Well, I remember in my Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 game, I would often lock the entrance and nobody could leave. I was so evil. I don't know, it was just fun to just do that in that game, because it wasn't meant to be like a torture simulator or anything. It was meant to be like an amusement park simulator. But you could do some crazy things in that game, you know? Like pick people up, you know? You could like put them in the wilderness and they'll just be lost for days. It was just, I don't know. You could do some really cruel things in that game. It was just funny to me because, you know, it was just things that weren't really meant to be in the game. So, that's why, I guess. Because if it was actually, if I played a game that was actually a torture simulator, in fact, I think there is actually on Steam. I think it's some kind of like ragdoll game that's actually all about torturing like a random like ragdoll stick figure or whatever. But it's not as fun, you know? I don't know, maybe I'm weird. But like, it's not as fun if it was just meant to be that. And it's just that. That was boring. Ironically. Anyway. We passed the hospital and we're on our way to the entrance when... another one. He kicked out the piglet, knocking it to the ground. Or kicked out at the piglet. Is what I said? He was breathing heavily now, and stopped to wipe sweat from his forehead. We run into a few piglets on our way, and Ryuji had managed to fight them off, but... do you need to rest a little? Even if he said he was fine, I could see he wasn't. Where was Hogstein keeping all of the piglets? He'd been telling the truth on the phone, though. There were way more piglets searching the park for us. They'd start combing the forest and the alleyways, leaving us with very few places to hide. Well, at least it seems like they can only communicate with those weird gestures. That would make it pretty hard to communicate. It's like, well, it's like playing a multiplayer game, but no one has voice chat. Because everyone's too shy to use a microphone, you know? Which is me. I definitely would, you know, I tend not to use the microphone if it's like there's a bunch of random strangers on the internet. Usually. Kind of embarrassing. Anyway, he was right. If the piglets had been able to coordinate with a radio or something, catching us would have been like shooting fish in a barrel. Though I do like using voice commands, though. I often spam voice commands, however, if it's existed in the game. I think his wounds are starting to open again. Every so often I could catch a glimpse of the bandage I'd given him beneath his coat. It was already soaked with red.
頑張ろうぜ。
I warmed myself under his shoulder and tried to lift him up. His clothes were soaked with sweat.
おい、平気だって。
And I'm saying that's a bunch of horse pucky. What? Horse pucky. We're doing this together, remember?
そうだったな。ありがとうよ。
Slowly and cautiously, we continued toward the front gates. At last, we reached the Bizarre Planet attraction, which was connected to the entrance to the park. I don't see any piglets.
俺たちがランドから脱出するなんて考えてもいないのかもな。
Shops lined each side of the promenade, and at the end we could see the gate. There wasn't a single piglet in sight. If we can get through here, this nightmare will finally be over. Is it that easy? I don't know. I adjusted Ruji in my shoulders and began to walk.
ここに来て、今日で7日目か。
Yeah, you know, when I met you that first day, I thought you were kind of scary. Me too, as the player, you know?
まあ仕方ねえさ。こんななりだし、口も悪いしな。
I don't think that anymore, though. I know you're not scary at all. You're actually very nice. And I know that even though you look like a real tough guy, you love theme parks a whole lot. That's your, like, one quirk as a character.
顔に似合わずってなんだよ。
He's a theme park otaku, you know? You know how there's train otaku? Which, by the way, I mean, you know, otaku, by the way, I mean, if you didn't know, otaku outside of Japan tends to mean like you're like a nerd that likes anime and stuff. But within Japan, all it means is like you're just a nerd in general, you know? So there can be like you can be like a train nerd, or you can be like a theme park nerd, you know? Not necessarily anime. Man. He coughed awkwardly and grinned at me. I think it's kind of cute, but I guess I can see why he'd be a little embarrassed.
俺だって、お前がただ守られるだけの女じゃねってことを知ってる。
It's ironic because that kind of what happens in his route, but even more so in Shido's route, I guess. You know, definitely Shido is the super white knight, you know, super white knight route. But this one kind of subverts that a little bit, I guess, which is kind of cool.
あとお前の寝顔もバッチリ見たしな。
Just, you know, just summarizing his route. Hey, you're not supposed to talk about that.
忘れてやんねえよ。目をつぶればすぐ思い出せちまうくらいガン見したからな。
Now it's my turn to blush. Man. He laughed and seemed very pleased with himself. It's funny to him, but what if I do something embarrassing when I sleep? Like drool.
お前はもちろん
That would be
他の
even
仲
more
間だって
cute. Anyway.
どいつもこいつも個性的な奴らだよな。ゲームがなければあいつらとは出会えなかったって考えると、ここから脱出するのも簡
Yeah,
単。
let's just abandon them. And then as soon as we leave, you hear an explosion and everyone dies. Wouldn't that be tragic? Yeah. I wonder if I won't get to see Ryuji anywhere once the game is over. But I do want to see him again. I really do. A life or death game hardly seems like the kind of place where you meet someone special, but I had someone very special, as marketed, you know, in the game. Is exactly how they market sweet fuse.
見えてきたぜ。
It's literally you fall in love with a
これで
husband
俺たちは
because you end up in a life or death
Yeah.
game. So again, I don't know. I mean, again, I can't complain about it. It is exactly as advertised, but I kind of wish it focused more on the mystery, you know, mystery and the drama and everything. I'm definitely more interested in that than, you know, Saki getting a boyfriend. It's all right. It's not like I'm against it, but you know, it's kind of like there. It's like not really something I'm super interested or super invested in. Anyway, I didn't notice how close we were. The gate was only 30 feet away. It's right there. There's the finish line. But uh-oh. What? As Hogstein's voice echoed through the air, piglets poured out from behind the shops. Whoops.
ち、こいつはまずい状況かもな。
Maybe Hogstein predicted this. That's why he said exactly that, you know. That's why he exactly said that we would be breaking the rules, you know, if we simply escape. and he thought that we would think that, so he thought that he knew that we knew that he knew that we would do this. You know? Before I knew it, we were surrounded by more piglets than I seen the whole week we spent at the park. The dark crowd parted to reveal Hogstein swaggering toward us.
もうお帰りですか？だったらお土産にこの名前玉だっていかがでしょう。
Gun.
あれは拳銃か。
The power of gun. There's no mistaking the cold metal object in Hogstein's hand. No, does that mean he was just playing us the whole time?
いつ俺たちがランドを脱出しようとしてるって気づいた。
その質問はナンセンスです。そもそも私があなたたちをここに誘導したんですから。
But when did you... The phone call.
そうです。あなたたちをおびき出すためにわざとヒントを与えたのです。ひらめきに秀でてるのも考え物ですね。
You're just too smart, Saki. Too smart for your own good. The piglets began to close in. We were done for. The Ryuji just patted my head.
そんな不安そうな顔するな。お前には笑顔が一番似合ってるさ。
You look better when you smile. Okay. Anyway. Nani? Suddenly, the world spun as Ryuji tucked me under his arm like a football and took off toward the gate. It's gonna run for it. Yay! Don't use me as a football. Treating women as objects, you know, literally. He slammed into the piglets that came at us with his shoulder, pushing them aside. Blam. But with every hit, he slowed down a little bit more. If his wounds had been torn back open already, they certainly were now, and he had likely given himself some new ones too. Ryuji! Hogstein stood between us and the gate, gun in hand. He lifted the gun to aim it straight at Ryuji's head. He's gonna kill him! I felt something begin to boil up inside me. Ah! Why is he always doing this? I thought we made a promise to work together. If he keeps this up, he's gonna kill himself. Get frickin' bad! I'm not a football! I let out a roar like no yell I'd ever yelled before. Ryuji and the piglets in front of us stopped in their tracks, stunned. And... he also shocked them. Hogstein jumped, and in what seemed like an instinctive reaction, he cowered and threw his hands up to protect himself. Ah yes, the power of Saki yelling at people. It really is as powerful as saying, you know, yelling objection in the courtroom. For the moment, he was frozen. Never mind that. This is your opening. Use it.
Alright.
He scrambled desperately to re-aim his gun, but it was too late. Ryuji shot forward. What a tackle! He roared with fury as he smacked into the frozen pig. He's a lot bigger than I thought. I guess it makes sense. Like he's wearing like a giant mascot costume. Also noticed that his gun is like a revolver, by the way. They always just mention he has a gun, right? He doesn't say like what kind of gun. So it looks like it's a revolver. Yes! With me still clutched under his arm, Ryuji leapt out the gate. He landed on his feet, wavered for a moment, and then collapsed. Touchdown! And then he passed out. Well, I mean, we got out of the gate, but that doesn't really help us because he's still right there. You know, Hogstein can still shoot us. I clambered to my feet. grabbed a hold of his arm and started to pull. Ah, he's put himself in danger a bunch of times for me. I'm not gonna let Hogstein kill him. I'll keep him safe. It's the last thing I do. Let's go. Just a little further away. I just need to get him away from the park. Hello, Dark Doggo. I'm just finishing up a route in a game called Sweet Fuse. One step at a time, I hauled him away from the park and Hogstein. We're getting quite near the end, so probably getting an ending pretty soon. Yeah, I guess that's it. We won. I don't know how that worked out. We just dragged him out, and then I guess he just didn't bother chasing us anymore. Just got knocked out by his football tackle, I guess. Oh geez, look at the time. I opened the curtains and let the warm morning light stream into my room. I can't believe it's only been a week. I'm still sore all over. After Ryuji and I escaped, the rest of our teammates beat the game they were playing and then left the park too. The press was all over the whole thing for a while. Fortunately, Shido pulled a few strings and managed to keep them out of our hair for the most part. My uncle and the other hostages weren't so lucky though. He was constantly getting jumped by reporters, and last I heard he was pretty fed up. Maybe they were asking about Mighty Number 9. Anyway, as for the rest of our team, Wakasa had gone back to work as a pop star, but I've heard he was pretty grumpy that none of us had known who he was. But apparently he was channeling that into his career, and he was determined to become so popular that everyone would recognize him. Okay, you know? I guess it worked out for him. The game must have made Miyoshi reflect on his own choices, since he started to work part-time once he got out. The rumor was that he was saving up money for job hunting, and that he was shooting to get a job in the game industry. Urube had turned himself in. He regretted working with Hogstein and wanted to try and make amends for what he'd done. I told him what I wanted to get a reading from him when he got out, and he gave me a warm smile and said it would be his first priority. You don't do it in the prison, you know? We gotta wait until he's finished his sentence. Shirobei was tracking down the truth. In the end, we hadn't learned anything about who Hogstein really was. Yeah, in this route, we didn't really focus too much on how, you know, on like Hogstein's identity or anything. Didn't do much of that. We just mostly just learned about Mitarashi, I guess. He hadn't even been arrested. When the police showed up, the pig had disappeared. What was Hogstein after? If anyone could find out, I had a feeling it was Shirobei. Shido had gone back to his job as a detective, and I heard from him that the piglets had turned out to just be ordinary people. They'd all been hypnotized or something. I had no memory of anything that had happened. There's all this, but a lot of this is very similar to all of the other endings. We've been left with more questions than answers. Maybe someday I'll get some answers, but right now I got other things in my mind. And speaking of those things, I assume it's Mitarashi. My door burst open. Ryuji. I hadn't seen him in a while, and this surprise visit made my heart swell in my chest. As soon as my uncle had gone out of the park, he called the police, who immediately moved in to surround it. Okay, that's what happened. It didn't take me long to reach them, and they saved us. I was curious about what had happened to Hogstein, but I figured I could leave that to Shido and Shirobei. I'd survived, and so had the man I loved. That was enough for now. Yeah. What are you doing here? I was gonna come pick you up.
少しでも早くお前に会いたくてな。病院を飛び出してきちまった。
The speed of his recovery had been astounding. Even with all his wounds, he'd only need to stay in the hospital for about a week. Did they actually let you go, or did you just leave? He had to learn when to sit. Before I could finish, he threw his arms around me and squeezed.
でもな、会いたかったんだから仕方ねえだろ。
And CG? You're trying to change the subject. Buttering me up isn't gonna work. He just laughed.
この1週間考えてたことがある。
Oh yeah?
俺はホストを辞めるぜ。
Really? What? That wasn't what I expected at all. How are you gonna pay the bills? I mean, I'm glad he's not gonna be flirting with other women all day, but are you sure? I thought you were doing that so you can make women smile. Well, now he has one woman to make. This is very easy. Since he lost the chance to see his mother smile. When you think about it, that's like mommy issues. He gave me a crooked grin.
確かにホストってのは女を笑顔にできる。けど俺が笑顔にしてる女は別にいるって気がついたんだ。
Ah yes, monogamy. The traditionally accepted relationship in society. Oh yeah? My heart started to beat faster. I let myself fall into his arms and pressed my head against his chest to hear his own heart. And then I grabbed the heart and pulled it out. Kalima. No? Guess not. He smiled. Ryuji. Alright. CG? Okay. Finally got a kiss, by the way. I've noticed in his route, we never did any smooching, right? Compared to all the other routes, you know. A lot of the other characters, they already smooch in the middle of their route, but not Mitarashi. Even this is still not... again, she's not really kissing his lips. It's kind of weird. Anyway. He leaned forward and our lips met. Does it really? It looks like you're not really kissing his lips, though. We kissed and everything else stopped mattering. Smooch, smooch, smooch. Shoo. You know, just like what... Shirabe's daughter said, my. Anyway, there you go. That's Mitarashi's, ending. Right there. Right after, I'm gonna try and see what the bad ending is like. I don't know what happens in the bad ending. Maybe, you know, maybe similar to what Wakasa did, you know? He's just gonna continue his host club work and not really be in a relationship or something. I don't know. Anyway, there's some CG we didn't see before. Like him drinking coffee, I guess. Interesting, because we did get CG of... well, not really CG, but... was it CG? I can't remember if it was. But there was a scene involving Shido, you know, him drinking coffee. Guess he drinks coffee too? Again, a few scenes I've missed with all the characters. Like, for the sake of time, you know, I'm not gonna get literally everything. But maybe you will get some more interesting scenes. That, not super important, but, you know, some side stuff. If you chose to hang out with them in the beginning and everything. But, you know, again, I don't really want to do too much of that. You know, I didn't want to get all those scenes because it's just too repetitive, to be honest. It would take forever, so that's why I prefer not to do that. They kissed here? Oh, did I miss this CG? Or maybe I missed that CG, I don't know. Maybe there was a CG where they kissed, and I didn't get that. Maybe I missed that. Maybe it was one of the decisions that I chose accidentally. I chose like the wrong one, and you were supposed to get a CG involving them kissing or something. I think, yeah, that seemed different than the last one. The last CG was them just kissing at the end. Or maybe there was like a smooch scene that I missed. Really small things. You know? I guess you have to do everything quite perfectly if you want to get every single thing. I feel like. And that's fine. I'm not gonna, you know, I feel like that's okay. I'm not gonna go back and, you know, try to find that. Again, it really isn't all that important to me. The romance side, you know, it's part of the game, so I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing ever, you know, but because it's not really my priority, I'm not really gonna go get every single scene involving the characters. That's okay. Alright, so after seeing that, let me just quickly get the bad ending and see what that's about. I imagine it might be tragic? I don't know. I mean, all of them are pretty tragic. When you get the bad ending with them. Let's see. Mitarashi, stage 7, and then 0 affection. Let's see. What does it happen? What happens? I don't know. Gonna skip all this. You know, I wonder if it ends early, like Urube's route, or maybe he gets shot at the end when he tries to grab Saki or something. I don't know. So usually in bad ends, nobody dies, I think. Oh, I guess the only exception, because, you know, you can get a lot of bad endings in all the characters and all the routes by not getting enough affection points. They don't usually die, though. They just end up, you know, not being with Saki for whatever reason. The only exception, I guess, would be Urube. I assume Urube sacrificed himself, so he was the only one that got himself killed, I guess. Okay. Skip that. I just want to see what the other option did. It doesn't change much. Again, a lot of the decisions in this game, it's all about just getting affection points. So no matter what kind of dialogue choice you choose, the general plot, the main plot, tends to go the same way anyway. Similar to a lot of Western RPGs, I feel like. Or any kind of like choice-based game outside of Japan. They tend to just like loop back to the same general story. What was it? I can't remember. Leave? Games? I think it was Rescue, yeah. Again, I wish the explosive insight actually was more expanded. I think I said it before, but I really do wish. Maybe not. Like I don't know if I want it to be harder necessarily, but you know, more fun, more interesting. Because you do get the option to choose multiple words, but they don't really take advantage of that. You know, it's just to allow you to choose like 3 words for like 3 chances of getting the right one. But I wish you could like combine words. You know, that would definitely make it more interesting, make it more clever. You know, or at least feels like it's more clever. Just like it works in Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa. Anyway, we're about all the way back here, so this time I feel like we're setting up for the bad ending. What's gonna happen? I don't know, I can't skip this part, so I assume it's new. What? Suddenly the world spun as Ryuji tucked me under like a football. Okay. Hey! He slammed into the piglets that came at us with his shoulder, pushing them aside. Hogstein stood between us and the gate, gun in hand. This is the same. He lifted the gun to aim it straight at Ryuji's head. He's gonna kill him! Oh no. No, shoot! And he shot. But it was too late, and a gunshot rang out. For some reason though, he changed his aim at the last moment and shot Ryuji in the foot. Wow. I mean, yeah, that makes sense because... Again, we learned for some reason Hogstein doesn't want to kill people directly. I guess that's why he aims at the foot, but... Ryuji! He screamed and collapsed. He still keeps going. Whoa! Suddenly I was flying through the air. I knew it! He really is treating Saki like a football. Go long! Even as he was falling, Ryuji had thrown me with the last of his strength. I looked down as I flew over Hogstein and then the gate itself. Ow! I can't! I couldn't bring myself to say it. I climbed to my feet and began to run. He sacrificed himself so that I could get away. I couldn't let that go to waste. Oh, Ryuji, please don't die! I felt tears streaming down my face as I ran. And then... we're back here, okay. So this, well, I don't know, so this time Saki just escapes on her own. After being thrown, like a literal football. Oh geez, look at the time. I opened the curtains and let the warm morning light stream into my room. Yeah, the same thing. I can't believe it's only been a week, still sore. After Ryuji and I escaped. It's kind of weird, so she still mentions Ryuji. Rest of the teammates beat the game, left the park, pressed it all over. You know, pull a few strings to make us, you know, make them not harass us as much. Wakasa became a pop star. Miyoshi got a part-time job. Little Bay turned himself in. Shirobei still tracking down the truth. Hogstein disappeared. Shindo come back to his job. Yep. Left more questions and answers. None of that mattered to me though. Oh, Ryuji. I sighed. Ryuji had managed to survive. Okay. After I run, Hogstein hadn't actually done anything to him. Maybe getting shot in the foot had been his punishment. I had asked Shido which hospital Ryuji was staying in and even gone to visit him. But when I got there, his room was already filled with a woman. Okay. Every single one of them was pretty, and they made the whole room reek of perfume. Their style was interesting. I figured that they were probably the customers he mentioned before. He welcomed each of them with a smile, and it was the same smile I'd seen before. As I turned to leave, I heard his voice.
お前と俺じゃ住む世界が違いすぎる。忘れてくれ。俺の子だ。
His voice was almost drowned out by the giggling and yammering of the other women, but I heard him. His harem is just too strong. What went wrong? I never cared that we live in different worlds. Today was the day he was due to be discharged, but maybe I'll just go back to bed. Just go back to bed. Ah, yes. I hugged my Kanedebu, my true companion, and climbed back under the covers. Alright, there you go. That's just a bad ending. Again, kind of like, kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth because it's like a bad ending right after a happy ending. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to see it, to see differences. Anyway, there you go. That's just his route complete in that case. So, we pretty much completed every single route, actually. Every single husbando we've seen. In the actual game, Shiro, Wakasa, Meoshi, Shirabe, Urabe, and Mitarashi. However, there's still one more. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Which I assume you can only activate once you start a actual, full-on new game. And technically you can do this, I think, even after your first playthrough. Like just getting one ending, you could just do this right after. But I wanted to save it for last, Because I was already invested in seeing all the other endings, so I thought maybe I should try to see all the other endings first, and then I'll do the last one at the very end. So that's the plan. Can't do it here, though. We just have to start a new game. And maybe we'll see who this mysterious 7th husbando is. Guess we'll see.